Hey guys, this is my friend Melissa. She is letting me do her makeup today so I could show you guys exactly the steps that I would take to do this kind of makeup look. So first, we're going in with Makeup Forever Stick Foundation, and I'm going to use it as an eye primer. I like to do some sort of a base on an eye just so it cancels any sort of pigment differences from the face or veins or anything that's, showing. You don't want to show through your eyeshadow. I'm going in with a translucent setting powder. It's tinted a little bit yellowish. It's called banana powder. That way it doesn't wash her out completely. So then I'm going to take my Jaclyn Hill palette, which is beautiful. It's got every color you could need for a makeup look, so we're going to use this the entire time. So first we're going to take a really, really warm toned yellowy base color, and we're going to use this as our transition shade. I wanted her eyeshadow to have this really big pop of color in the middle, so we're going to go in with a warmer base just so that everything else brings it all together. And she also has really super blue eyes, so doing warm colors like oranges, yellows, reds, those bring out blue eyes a ton. So that's what we went with today. So we're just blending it out. You don't have to be very careful with how you blend out the transition shade just because you're going to be layering so many colors on top of it. It's basically there just to make a smooth transition up to the eyebrow so you don't have this kind of harsh line. So next I picked up and we're going to keep this shade one or two shades darker than the one we had just laid down. As we go on, we want to keep of an orangey tone, I'd say. Putting the darker colors lower and lower on the eye just so it doesn't look like a raccoon. Now I'm going in with a slightly darker shade. It's got more of a red toned base to it and a little bit of brown. So we're going to keep that one even lower than we did before. So I started at the edge of the lower lash line and kind of did a little bit of a V and then blended upwards. So the majority of the product goes lower on the lash line and then blend up as less and less product is on the brush. That way you won't get too blown out and smoky too high, giving you kind of like a harsh look. Like, it'll keep it very blended out and smooth if you keep it lower on the lash line. Next I picked up a really deep warm brown. It's just a very neutral, there's no reds to it, there's no grays to it, it's just like your average neutral brown. And I'm keeping it in the corner where I had put the other darker color, and then I'm also bringing it in the inner corner and then haloing it over the top, because the next thing we do, we're going to add like a pop of color, and it's just going to like frame the whole thing, and it's going to be less work for you to blend it out later if you give it enough of a base on both sides. Okay, here we are going in with a flat brush, and it's a synthetic brush, so it picks up like pigments really easily. And then MAC Fix Plus. God, that's a tongue twister. MAC Fix Plus. So it's a mixing medium, and it takes shimmers or pigments or anything that you want to use that's got like a little bit of a sheen to it, and it amplifies it, so it just makes it more metallic. So this color by itself would have been really pretty. It just would have been shimmery, but I wanted it to really, really pop, so we did the MAC Fix Plus, and it made it metallic. So I'm just spraying both sides of my brush after I pick up the product on my brush, and then placing it on the middle part of her eye. You don't have to put it on very like precisely, I kind of fill up the whole lid, and then you'll see we'll go in with a blending brush and blend all the sides together after we're done like laying the product down. Okay, so here is what I was talking about with, you didn't have to be very precise. So I'm picking up a really, really warm, like red tone, and I'm just kind of going over the harsh line that we made with the pigment on all sides. And this will just kind of like blow out this smokiness that you created before. It'll just blend everything together, make the green pop. It'll make the yellow and orange tones up there pop. It'll just make everything kind of flow together. Okay, so here I'm going in with eyeliner. It's by Inglot. It's a gel liner, so it glides on it way easier than a lot of other eyeliners that I've used in the past. And I'm going to start at the outer edge, making a line towards like the middle of her eye, and then kind of going down and connecting the rest of the lines. I like to keep my client's eyes open while I do like at least the outside of the line if they can keep it open. That way you don't have any sort of like creases that you weren't aware of when you open the eye back up from being shut. So it just makes everything else a lot easier. Okay, now we are putting on some lashes. I think these are the Ardell 110s, if I'm not mistaken. They're just a very natural lash. They kind of look the same length as her natural lashes. She's got some good lashes, but they are just gonna make it look more voluminous. So I did duo glue, so it's waterproof, and stuck them on. Moving on to the face, we're going to use the same foundation that we used to prime her eyes on her face. So it's a stick foundation. It's a little bit thicker, like I said, than your typical like liquid foundation, but it's super hydrating. Like if you're really oily, probably not a great foundation for you, but if you have like combination to dry skin, it's awesome. It stays in place. It's super hydrating, so you don't necessarily need a primer underneath it. I would do a moisturizer, but you don't need a primer. And it's super, super easy to blend out, even though it's a thicker based foundation. So here you'll probably notice I'm not using a concealer. I'm just kind of dragging the foundation up near her eyes. She does not have like dark circles or creases or anything that you really need to conceal. So I'm not going to go in with a concealer. It just would be too cakey and too much under her eyes. So the foundation's going to be just enough. And then going back in with the banana powder to set the rest of her face. Melissa said she does get a little bit oily throughout the day, mainly in her T-zone, which is like everybody else, I feel like. So we're just going to set everything just to make sure it doesn't move throughout the day, mainly focusing on the T-zone. So that's like the forehead, kind of like the nostril and cheekbone area, and then the chin. Okay, now we're going in with the Shade and Light palette by Kat Von D, and there are 3 shades in there. There's a lighter one, a medium toned warm brown, and then a neutral, kind of more gray toned deep brown. So we're going to go with the warmer one first and go around all the perimeters of her face just to kind of bring some life back since we had set it and had a one-tone foundation. And then now I'm going in with a contour shade, which is darker and a little bit more gray, and just hollowing out her cheekbones and like making it pop. So that's the contour part. Here I am using NARS blush. I think it's called Armor. I'll put that down below if I figure out it's something else, but I'm pretty sure it's called Armor. It's more of like a purplish berry color, and just keeping it on the apples of her cheeks and sweeping it back. And then here is my favorite part. We're doing some highlighter. Some people hate highlighter, but I cannot live without it. So it's by Makeup Forever. It's kind of more the gold tinted one. And we're gonna put it on the tops of her cheekbones, dragging it down onto like a little bit of the apples of the cheek on both sides, and then we're gonna go down the center of the nose. Here we're going in with the Anastasia of Beverly Hills eyebrow kit. I'm using the shade Taupe and a little angled brush to do the rest of her brow. I'm gonna brush through her brow a tiny bit, then go in with the lighter side of the duo kit and just kind of carve out the bottom part of her brow. So I'm following her natural brow shape. She's got awesome brows. She really doesn't need too much of it filled in at all. I'm just going in with any sparse little pieces that I see, going in with the shadow and filling it in. I like to do a little bit darker at the tail of the brow than the front. Just gives it a little bit more dimension, but pretty much she's got the shape that she likes and that I like, so you don't really need to do too much to her brows. Going back in with the Jaclyn Hill palette, the same one that we've been using the whole time, we're going to do her bottom lash line. So I took a flat brush and I dipped it in like just a black color, and we're going to tight line the bottom lash line, but only bringing it to like the center of her eye. We're not going all the way across. And then we'll take a very fluffy brush with some red brown on it and sweep it across the entire bottom lash line to kind of blow that color out. This is the Stilla Huge Lash Mascara, and we're just going to coat her bottom lashes and a little bit of mascara. You don't really need to do anything to the top since we put the lashes on. Some people like to go over it, but she's got pretty dark lashes, so I didn't really need to go over those. And then we're gonna do lipstick. So I use the NYX pencil in the shade Natural, and then MAC's lipstick in Blankety. And we're gonna overline her lips a tiny bit and then just fill them in with the lipstick. And this is the final look. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. Please subscribe, and I will see you next time.